Well, this video is a little bit longer than normal because the subject itself requires a bit more of an in-depth look, a bit more detail. So with that in mind, go and put on the kettle or grab a snack and a drink, and then roll the titles. Now, back in 2017, I was at a point where I needed to change out my Discovery 4 commercial, but like the year before, Land Rover had stopped production of the Defender, and they'd also then, as I said, ceased production after that of the Discovery 4 and the Discovery 4 commercial, and they'd introduced the 5. A great vehicle, but at that point, they didn't even release it as a commercial. So I was left in this, position where I needed a commercial vehicle, and Land Rover had nothing to offer. Now, like many others, I had to look elsewhere, and I went to the VW Amarok, which I absolutely love, and it's a vehicle that I'll probably keep for good. Now, don't forget, see, when I was a kid, I can remember that when they went from the Series 3 Land Rovers to the new 110 and then the 90, in the early 80s. These were met with the same type of response. Oh, it's not a proper Land Rover. Oh no, it's terrible. The proper Land Rover should have the grille set in at the front, not this flat fronted thing. And what is all this? These wheel arches just stuck on the side, and they're on coil springs, just like a Range Rover. They'll be terrible to tow with. They'll just be wallowing We'd heard it all before. There was a big transformation between the series vehicles and this new breed of Land Rover. As we know, we've come to love them because they are great at towing. They do look right. It's a look that we have grown to love. But today's market is totally different. Farmers left Land Rover years ago, and it's just a sad fact. They did. They went, 30 odd years ago to the Japanese market. They went to vehicles that offered far better levels of comfort, far better reliability, much more versatile, and at a much better price. That's a sad fact, but it's true. Whereas you used to sling an old ewe or young calf that needed, some attention, you'd sling it in the back of an old 90 or a 110 pickup. Nowadays, the same farmers are running a little mule or a gator, something similar to that, because they're far easier to get around everywhere, because they're cheaper to run, they've got a lot lower footprint, a lot lighter. To be fair, they've probably got a lot more room in the back. So again, it's just a changing world that we live in. The armed forces, they don't want a soft-skinned vehicle anymore. They want a vehicle that gives protection to the crews inside. And that's done by, completely different types of vehicles these days that give that protection, because warfare as we know it has changed. But then you'll hear that the new Defender has got far too much technology on it, far too complicated. Look around you, it's the world we live in. But when you've actually got that technology, it's phenomenal. It transforms what you can do with a vehicle, or even, say, a tractor, a truck, anything that you've got, even home appliances these days. And then, of course, you'll get those that'll tell you how their 1987 Defender is a proper Defender, even though technically it's just a Land Rover 90 because the Defender name only came in sort of 1990 onwards. But anyway, and they'll say how the new Defender isn't a real Defender. It's got too much technology on it, and how theirs is far, far superior. And they'll ask the question, where will the new Defender be in 40 years' time? Probably in the same place yours would have been had you not in its lifetime put on another rear cross member when the chassis rotted out, then eventually put it all onto a galvanised chassis, took the doors off a 110 high cap that you found on eBay, transplanted the engine out of a sacked out 300 TDI Discovery into it, and then updated the whole look by having a bonnet from a stolen Puma put onto it.
This old broom has had 17 new heads and 14 new handles.
And just as before, the people with the Series 3s, the 2s, the 2As, the Series 1s, are now safeguarding and ensuring that their Land Rovers are around for years to come, for future generations to enjoy. people that own these, this is your time to now step up and do exactly the same. Keep them going. That's why we've got companies such as M&M, 4x4, JSF, Famous 4. All these companies are there to provide all the parts and the backup and the service that you need to keep these going. So don't feel threatened by the new Defender. Let the people that want to buy them, buy them. Let them then take that brand forward. It's a new world. But say, don't forget the heritage. Don't forget where everything has come from. Don't forget where these have come from. But anyway, we've looked at these. We know all about them. So now let's look at the new 2021 Land Rover Defender.
That's obviously a completely new model, we can see that. But there's still so many hints and, you know, parts of this motor that go back to the original Defender, and before that the series vehicles, such as the Series 2s and Series 3s. Look at the barrelling on the side there, all the way through, just like the old series vehicles that then were carried on through the 90s and 110s, then obviously onto the Defender. The bonnet, although it now opens up right to here, so you haven't got a big wing to lean over, they open it, but it still gives the impression of that wing section and then the raised bonnet part, just like a Defender. Obviously, streamlining plays a big part of this now. It's a lot more rounded, but it's still boxy. It's still got that rugged stance. That's what I really like about this. As far as the windscreen goes, obviously it's a lot more streamlined now. More of a rake on it than there was on the old Defenders and stuff like that. But from inside, you still get the impression that you're not in a Discovery or a Range Rover with a big glass screen. Although there's, you know, tons of vision, it's far superior to the old Defender. You still get that impression, that sort of, you know, wide, squat screen. It's just really well done. Now, obviously, this one is the version with the seats in. Personally, I'd be looking at the commercial without the seats in the back and the bulkhead. But I was, you know, offered this to try. They said, look, we can get you one fairly soon to try, but it's going to be the, you know, the sort of car derivative one, the one with the seats in. And I sort of said, well, the platform's all the same, I'll take it. So this one is on air suspension, like a Discovery or whatever, you know. But the commercials and that are available on springs, you know, to keep it simple. So you have got an option there. Coming around the back, again, you can see that hark back to the original Land Rover, the old series, and then the Defenders. Hello. The door is very strong. Not like the predecessors that used to just flap and rattle about, and eventually the spare wheel would break through here and you know, shatter all the back. This is a big sturdy item. I've got the seats laid down just for the purposes of this video, and obviously, yes, I know. But with the commercial version, it's all flat floor right in the back here. But the actual opening at the back is very... You coming out, are you? Okay. The opening at the back here is very large. It's nice and wide, a lot bigger than the, you know, the original Land Rovers, you know, the series and the Defenders. So you could get good access into the back here. Obviously, those seats fold up. So, you know, in the, sort of the car variant as you got now, you got seating actually for 6, because you got 3 in the front and 3 in the back, and they're all forward facing. So this is a bit more family orientated, hence the light coloured interior. That wouldn't work well in a work environment, we know. And the commercials have a dark interior to sort of, you know, help mask the dirt and, you know, of everyday, you know, work and practices. But this one, as I said, for what we've got to look at, this is what we've got to go with. But it's actually very nice. Anyway, so when you get in here, you've got loads of room. And even for if there's a third person in here, you know, you haven't got a big gearbox tunnel here, just a slight raise here, and you can get your legs either side or up on here depending on what you want. And all you got to do, if you want the seat out of the way, is you pull this, which then leaves you with various electrical outlets, somewhere to put your drinks and anything else you want. And it's a nice, the actual side of this is really nice to have you like an armrest. Absolutely brilliant, very well thought out. Nice big unobstructed view at the side there when you're pulling up to a junction and whatever. This is what I was saying about this screen, look. Now, although it's obviously a lot bigger than the old Land Rovers and Defenders, and it's, you know, got a nice rake back for streamlining, you still get that impression that you're in a Defender. Absolutely fantastic. Really do like that. It's a lovely, and look, you sat here, that view over there, look, got the bonnet there. Really nice, really, really nice. That's the biggest difference. There's so much room in here. So I've kind of got used to it now and settled in with it, because like all new vehicles, it takes time. The first thing I noticed is that you cannot compare it to the previous Defender range. On the other hand, there are a lot of similarities, and that's a good thing. They've certainly thought about it when they've designed it. There's the little nods to how things were in the previous one, the little bulk bins at the front here to throw your keys in and anything else that you wanted. In fact, they're a lot better now. Just everywhere's got nice little pockets to put stuff. The seating position in this really does hark back to Defender. You're upright. It's not like, you know, the Discovery Sport or Range Rover Sport where you're sort of down low and cocooned. You're looking over that bonnet again as you used to. Now, obviously with air conditioning, which is fantastic, all the other models you'll drive, you know, aircon, windows up, why wouldn't you? But there's something about this vehicle just makes you want to open this window, let in the fresh air, put your arm out like you would do in a Defender, but for a different reason. The reason for this is because it's just something pleasant about it. It's nice, and they've made it so it's very comfortable to do so. With the previous Defender, the reason you had to do it is because you needed the room. You were shoved up against the door, so you had to get your elbows out, you know, but this is really nice. A lovely note to it. Now, the transmission in this is automatic. Very simple to use. You just finger underneath here is like a trigger finger. You just do that. The part comes off, you just nudge it back, straight into drive. That's it. Off you go. It's smooth. It's an 8-speed. Absolutely fantastic. Now, if you want your low range, going off road or anything like that, simply press this button here, select low, trigger finger, you got all 8 speeds in a low range. What more could you ask for? Now if you want to drive it like a manual or, you know, power shift, just kick it across there, off you go, and it'll just hold in whatever gear you want it to hold in. You just nudge it, and it'll just hold in that gear. It won't go up or down. It's got everything you want. Like I say, I really don't know why anyone in this day and age would want a manual transmission. It's like there must be the same sort of people that would want to take a crap in a bucket in a little shed at the end of the garden rather than use a toilet inside a house. It's just so outdated. Everything you want is right there. And this is the whole point, right? I know people out there go, well, it wouldn't fit what I do, it wouldn't suit what I want, it wouldn't. That's great. Then you'll get whatever you need that suits your requirements. I'm looking at this vehicle, this Land Rover Defender, from what suits my requirements. That's the whole point of this. Does it suit my requirements? And my requirements are that I'll need to be able to tow, I'll need to be able to carry, you know, some tools, I'll need to carry the dog, obviously, and I need an off-road ability. You know, I don't want to climb the north face of the Eiger, but I need to get onto site. I need to get up tracks, across fields, tow a Bowser somewhere, you know, or a trailer. Would this vehicle do that? Yeah, you're right, it would. Every inch of it. But you'll always get those that try and compare the old Defender with the new Defender, and I don't know why. And they'll come out with things such as, oh, but it's not a proper Defender. Well, if not a proper Defender means that you don't have your knees jammed up underneath the steering wheel, or your elbows smacked into the side of the door glass, and your feet absolutely roasting and on fire while the top half of you freezes, or water pissing in onto your knee every time you shut the door, even when it's sunny. If that's what it means to be not a proper Defender, thank for that. So this is the Defender 90 commercial, and as I said, it's aimed at more the utilitarian and working market. Still nice spec, and you can spec them up, or you can start at a base model. So you haven't got all the plush stuff, you know, you haven't got all the fancy seats and fancy carpets and stuff like that. But anyway, let's have a look. So inside, you've got nice dark colours, nice and comfortable seats. But again, you know, seat covers on here, you can keep them nice and clean. You've got the third seat in this one again, you can have a cubby box in the middle instead. And this one here, if you look, has got an analog display. Still got the digital thing in the middle, but it's analog dials, not the full digital dash like we had in the other one. Everything else is fairly standard with your information in the middle there and whatever, but just the colours and whatever, they're not these nice, you know, light vibrant colours. This you can have again, you can have in a darker colour or a light colour. It's just a bit nice bit of contrast in this. Again, door panels nice and hard wearing, but again darker colours. Right, footwells, you got mats, rubber mats, look, all the way through here, and they're nice and thick like they were in the old Defender. The sucked and big old thick sound deadening ones. But the nice thing about it is you can just brush them out or even wash them out if you needed to. Even down to here, like underneath these, they're just hard wearing. That's all it is. It's all sealed. Look, there's no gaps in here for water to get inside or whatever, and they're not big steps here on these sills, so that, you know, you've got this massive tray. Stuff can just be washed and brushed straight out. Now you'll get people saying about, oh yeah, but it's all them electronics, all those ECUs. Everything's got electronics these days. Everything's got ECUs. Do you think Land Rover have made these and mounted all the ECUs and the electronic stuff in papier-mâché? They're all sealed away in proper waterproof boxes and whatever, so, you know, water and damp and dirt can't get to them. They have actually thought this through. So you can wash these out just like you could the old Land Rovers. I'm not talking Defenders and 90s, I'm talking the old series Land Rovers where you can just brush and wash them out. You can do the same with this, because as I said, there's no gaps for water and crap to get into, so they've thought this out. Now here in the back, again, you see this one, no seats. You've got a lot more room, obviously, without the seats being in there. Really nice sort of laid out. They've thought that everything's, again, is protected. You've got this big thick rubber mat in the back, but underneath that, like there you see, you've also got this hard flooring here, and that pops up, so you've actually got some underfloor storage, which is nice if you want to keep things out of sight, or just keep them, you know, hidden away. Plus it gives you extra capacity anyway, because you could put, you know, a toolbox or something in here and just have other stuff up on top, so it hasn't always got to be in your way. And the back is wide enough as well to get stuff in. You know, it's not all coming into you and all cocooned in. It's nice. You can get, as I said, your toolbox, your drums of diesel, dog bed. But yeah, and I didn't realise you can still have the Alpine lights in the back. I like that. To me, that makes a proper Land Rover. Got a full bulkhead with a mesh there so you can see through. But again, that keeps everything that you don't want sliding forward, or, you know, if anything does spill or whatever, it's not all going to go through to the front. Nice steel wheel, so, you know, you got an alloy option if you want it, but if you don't, if you want just to be practical, steel wheels, so that, you know, not to worry about scratching them or damaging them. Coil suspension on this one, see? So again, if you don't want the air suspension like we had on the other 90, you got your old standard coils. Now on the other one, remember, this was all smoked glass, you know, so you could see out for the passengers. This one, solid, just like a proper old hard top. That's exactly what it is, as I said, with the Alpine lights, loving that. But yep, there you go. Like I say, real workhorse. You've got steel wheels, coil suspension, hard top, Alpine lights, just all there. Now you can check all the specs online, but off the top of my head, I think basically you've got the commercials. They start with a 200 horsepower engine. The one we looked at with the seats, 250, and I think in the 110 you get a 250 or even a 300 horsepower engine. But they're the same straight six turbo diesel. So I would say it is a fantastic engine. Now I know there's a lot under here. It is a modern vehicle, but for a modern vehicle, it is all actually quite accessible. And these components need to be changed out or whatever, you can unclip stuff and get to them at least. So that's a good thing. But as I say, that's their own 3 litre straight six turbo diesel. And what an engine. Now I'm just going to show you something there. So this is a rear view mirror, and obviously with the bulkhead and the seat in the way here, it does impair your rear vision. But watch this. How good is that? So even if you had boxes right to the roof in the back of this and you couldn't see out the back via the rear camera up onto this rear view mirror, you can still see what's out the back. I love that. Oh yeah. Now, let's not kid ourselves. It doesn't matter what motor manufacturer, what truck or even tractor manufacturer you're going to choose in this day and age. Everything has electronics, and therefore there's more chances of things going wrong. It's just one of those things. But we're living in a time where the telephone now sends email, searches the internet, does video, does conference calls. It's just the times we live in. But with that, obviously, you can't. Doesn't matter what you've got, you cannot just open up a box of spanners and just repair it yourself. You know, you need to keep on top of these things, and you need the people with the proper, you know, equipment and all that. Now the other thing is, you know, I'm very thankful to Duckworth for allowing me to do this, because I've been able to do this overview and look at the Land Rover Defender 90 just because they've been so supportive of this for me. So they've given me access to the, you know, both vehicles and whatever. And again, that's another reason. Like I said, we've got a good working relationship, always have had, and we will have hopefully going into the future, you know. But as I said, that is key, having a good dealer backup with any vehicle, truck, tractor, bit of plant machinery. It is key in this day and age. And as I said, Duckworths have always been there for me. So I'd like to thank them again, especially for letting me, as I said, have the access to these Defender 90s, so I can, you know, we'll show you guys out there. Now, I know I take the mick out of these old things, but you know, deep down I love them as much as the next person, because I've owned enough of them, and I still own a few Land Rovers. So. But it's, as I said, long overdue for, you know, the next generation, and that's what the new Defender is. You good girl? Yeah.
So there we go, muckers. As far as the off-road capability of the new Defender goes, yeah, I am going to try that out. I've already got something in the pipeline with that, and we'll take it around a proper course, and we'll see where all that technology, you know, comes into play. But yeah, as I said, a bit of a longer video, but you can obviously see why. There's a lot to address. I did like it. I really did like that new Defender. Still like these old things. Say what you will, I still like them. But, didn't we? What? Is it that time again? There we are, muckers. Looks like it is. So, until the next one, do well.